You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
And welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Oh, happy Monday.
And we have a very special guest today.
Yeah, we do.
You should all know this guy when he's not dropping by as a guest on various podcasts like Neatcast, Effing Cultured, and Podcasters Assemble. He's on Twitter promoting the hell out of them. And if you've ever... And if you've ever heard him on any of these shows, it will come as no surprise to learn that he has a 2-decade career in radio, working a wide array of jobs from on-air talent to program director, although, in my opinion, on-air is where the man belongs. I know. We are happy to welcome to the Palace of Megapixels the ultimate hype man with a voice like honey sitting out on a hot summer day.
I tell you what.
Zack Derby.
That is quite an intro. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
See, siblings, you listening?
I figured you would be getting some sort of info because I got a little alert a while ago. Yeah, Steven checked out your LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. Oh, somebody's doing research.
You can't go on LinkedIn without people knowing.
So it gives you messages when people check it out?
It does to a point. I have a free account on LinkedIn, and I just have it because that's what everybody does. Sure. And I'll get an update that certain people are looking at my profile. It's like, hey, you're popular. People are checking you out. Here's the free one, and if you want to see the others, you could give us a little bit of money.
That little add to cart button.
Yeah, so every once in a while I get somebody checking the LinkedIn profile, and then I never get a job offer, so clearly they don't like what they see, which is fine. I'm happy where I am. I don't want to go anywhere else.
They're sliding into that Gmail.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They have the free account, too, you see.
Yep.
Hey, I've been there. I mean, every time I see, they're like, hey, you might be a good fit for this job. Great, I'm going to apply. Silence. Never hear about it again. Just like, that's fair. It's fair. So, we are going to talk to you a little bit later about all that good stuff.
Perfect.
But I want to start the show, not with our usual question to our guests, but we'll get to that. I wanted to touch on responses to our minigame question last week, because we got a lot.
Telling ya, siblings. Love it.
I wanted to give some shout outs to the lovely people on Twitter who were kind enough to share their thoughts about their favorite minigames.
I discovered new ones.
Yeah. So what we have to start with, I'm going to start with an old friend of the show who was on the show quite a while ago. I think it was back in episode 51, Chaos Hand.
Oh, yeah. How are you, Chaos BB?
Yeah, I haven't chatted with him in a long time. He said, I would say the shooting gallery games in the Zelda series, Triple Triad and Final Fantasy VIII, something about getting points, shooting things, and flipping cards makes the brain go brrr. So that was his go-to. Another friend of the show, Astro Grump, who's been on the show twice. He said, I love the fishing minigame on Black Desert Online, also Tetramaster and Final Fantasy VIII. So those are, Final Fantasy VIII must be, or Final Fantasy in general must be popular. It really was
a common theme I saw, yeah.
Yeah. Because also Dava, our friend Dava, who we got a shout out last week.
Our well of knowledge right there, yeah.
He actually had two. He mentioned Blitzball from Final Fantasy X, saying that he probably spent more time playing that than the actual game. But he also gave us a bit of trivia, saying that he was commenting on our Gwent question. Was that the first minigame to get spun off on its own?
Big.
And he said it's not. The earliest reference that he could find was Geometry Wars, which was a minigame in Project Gotham Racing 2.
Yeah.
So, if anyone can top that, I mean,
right?
I'm going to trust Dave on that one. Who else did we have? We had Dirt E99. on Twitter.
Dirty.
You
Yeah,
probably
I
know him.
Dirty. That's my nickname for him.
He said the Wario series, or WarioWare series, and the Yakuza series. Brian Icon, favorite minigames from the main game. That's easy. He said that's definitely fishing minigame from any game. Spend hours fishing if it's in the game. And
I wish I could share that joy.
It can be fun. It can be fun.
I can't get into fishing.
It depends on the game.
Yeah.
The most fishing I did was either Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, trying to just get those heart pieces and rupees, or just trying to level my fishing in WoW, and that was not fun.
Oh, see? Yeah, well, maybe one day. I've yet to come across any kind of fishing mini game or otherwise that's held my attention.
Well, it is kind of, you're sitting there for a long time.
Yeah, I guess you might have to like IRL fishing just a little bit.
Maybe.
I guess you can fish and raft, and that's kind of fun because you're trying not to get eaten by a shark.
Well, there's the added complication.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because that always makes things fun. Can I die?
It's a little bit harder. Yeah, just a little bit.
The last one I had was Businessman PK. He said Castaways from Mario Party 1.
I looked it up. That could be fun too.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for all these responses.
Yeah.
People, go check these people out. They're doing their own thing. Got some streamers in there. Some lovely, lovely people. So, with that said, Zach,
Yes.
what you been playing?
All the major popular ones, Solitaire, Minesweeper. I unfortunately don't have a ton of time to play. Most of my gaming is actually with some friends up here in New England, and we pop around to different co-op games. And the two that we've been going back and forth with recently is I'd got them Starbound a couple months back, so we've been playing that. And my friend Jenny is very big into, I think it's Final Fantasy 14 is a new one, and that you can play free now because that's the way that a lot of MMOs have gone, that you can play free with limitations. So we've been doing that. And I remember, I played Final Fantasy, the original one, then missed a bunch, went to 6. 7 was my favorite, like a lot of people's, and then I haven't been back into it for a while. But 14's pretty fun, but I only get to play games once or twice a week, and the rest of it is podcasting or family. So that's kind of where I am for solo
like
stuff.
A well-rounded day.
Yeah, if I do have time and I'm doing any solo stuff, I'm doing Dragon Age Inquisition. A few years behind, and I love the original. The original Dragon Age was so much fun. Played through it multiple times, making sure
it's
that
like
you
one of my favorites.
Every accomplishment, best weapons, love with all the characters, because
Anyone
you have
who'd let
to
me.
clearly
Anyone who'd let me.
for achievement reasons.
Yes.
But it was a fun game. I love that.
Wonderful.
That's definitely up there, one of my favorites. The original Dragon Age Inquisition is good, and we don't talk about 2. It didn't happen.
No, 2 is it's a dark place, and we just don't go there, Simba. We don't go there.
We just don't. We let it be. It never happened.
Lace, what about you? What you been playing?
Well, it's been like my Christmas the last couple of weeks. I didn't realize that all the games that I had been kind of looking forward to were all just going to release on top of each other. I did play Road 96, gave it at least one full playthrough. I'm sure with the way that they do the procedurally generated and all this kind of stuff, it would change it up a little bit per playthrough. But it is interesting. But when I started the second playthrough, I don't know that enough was changing.
Right.
And I know dialogue options here or there, because really the crux of the game is you're playing a teenager in this whatever dictatorship world, insert whatever country here, and these teens are the ones being oppressed, so they're the ones trying to cross the border. So you're playing these teens that are trying to cross the border, and they could make it, they could not, get arrested, they could die, and then you could play it either everyone I come across, we should settle this democratically and vote, or rise up and just against the machine and do that. Or you could just be completely middle of the ground. I don't give a crap. I'm just getting my ass out of here kind of situation. So and you can play each one you want. I didn't have a lot make it. I did not do well. Like I think you get like 8 scenes, or I did 8 characters, I guess, from how many you could fill up, because they all start like 1,500 miles from the border, and then however you decide to walk will generate a scene. Hitchhike will generate a scene. Steal a car will generate a scene. So like there's different things that you could do along the way. So I still want to do another playthrough, like taking every team whole in one way or the other or the third, and see if that actually changes anything, because it wasn't that long to play through. And then 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. Which was good.
But
don't see replay value though.
Okay.
I really don't. It's good. It was good. It's a thriller. I mean, listening to Willem Dafoe is just amazing anyway. There's only the 3 characters in it. My only thing was, if you're not smart like me, and it might take you a minute to set it, because it's a puzzle. You play out the scene, you might learn a new information. It starts again. You're stuck in this 10-minute loop. The monotony of having to start over when you get it wrong eventually starts. I'm like, I got to put this down.
Yeah.
She has offered me dessert like 20,000 times now, and I'm done. I've had enough dessert, honey. I've had enough. But I do recommend it for one playthrough, because it does do quite a few twists. Mm-hmm. And once the story itself wraps up, or the point where you're like, oh, I get it now, it is kind of a big reveal, and I enjoyed it. So from the storytelling aspect and all that kind of stuff, beautiful. I just don't know why you'd play it again. I don't know that anything new would happen. Like, you know the formula now and what to look for and all that kind of stuff. But
so
fun.
Look for it on sale.
Yes.
Okay.
I played it on Game Pass, because I stand Game Pass now. So
Well, yeah, you don't have to pay for anything now.
Yep, just my $5. But yeah, I think that was it. That was pretty much all I poked through this week.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What about you? Did you do any gaming?
Yeah, I've been trying, because I was trying to get myself hyped up for a new release, and some things have changed. So plans for next week are not what they're going to be, but we'll get there. I've been playing No More Heroes.
Oh, yes. I was like, you're being so cryptic right now.
Yeah, I was playing through that and essentially got... So, you remember how last week, I think I was talking about it, and I said I wasn't sure, like I wanted to play with the controller, but it felt wrong, and I went back to the Joy-Cons, but even that felt weird. So I went back to the controller, because something was happening with the buttons on the Joy-Con, and I spent a lot of money trying to tap an A button that wasn't responding. And I was getting angry. I was like, why is this happening? What is going on? I'm hitting the button. So I picked up the controller again. Obviously, the button started working, and I was getting through my workouts and everything. And I was like, all right, great. So this is good. So if that's the case, let's play around with this controller. Let's get familiar with the controller and see if I can play this way. So I went and did, assassination missions where you can just go and fight real quick and kind of get your feet. And I got really good with the controller. So it's primary now. I know.
I'll have to go back and try it that way. If you're getting success, then
I
will too.
It's like you have to get out of this motion control headspace. And I think the main thing I had to do is recognize one button is your high attack, one button is your low attack, versus you actually having to hold your arm a certain way. Mm-hmm. And once I got that, I was like, okay, now I know what I'm doing here. And I just had to keep my brain connected to where the buttons were. Once I got it all figured out, I'm acing everybody. It's
just going through it now, huh?
And even when
it might be easier for me, because I hated the motion controls.
Well, they can be a little frustrating, especially when you kind of get into one of those clashes and you have to spin it around. Now all I've got to do is just put my palm on it, and I've got them aced in no time.
Like the spoon trick.
Yeah. So
maybe I just played Mortal Kombat that way. I don't know.
Once I got really
Test
good,
your might.
Once I got good with the controller, I pretty much breezed through the rest of the game, and I was like, all right. And then I picked up part 2 and got through about 4 hours of that. I learned a little bit of what I like and dislike about each of these games. You know, because, it used to be rose-colored glasses, just sitting there thinking, oh, man, I just love these games. They're just so great. But now there are these moments that I just do not understand why you have to continue to repeat them. Like, for example,
Content.
in the first one, I said you had this big sprawling area, you know, set and destroy, and you can run around, but there's really not a whole lot to do. So it just feels kind of like you're dragging your feet versus what the second one does, and you just point to where you want to go, and then boom, you're there. But what they do is, in part 2, they make you walk to the counter or walk to the person you're going to visit, and it's like, why are you doing this?
Where it's like, yeah, you've given me control for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, just move on to that scene. I would have been okay with it. I didn't need to feel interactive for...
Yeah.
And half the time, I'm just staring at the screen anyway, because I'm expecting it to just move on before I realize it's my turn.
Yeah. And then, furthermore, the jobs that you get, okay, to earn money. Once you've given me the basics of that game one time, I don't need it again. But every single time, it's just like, hey, you're going to do this job. You're going to do I got it, dude. I got it. That's why I'm here. Just get me to the game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand this repetition when you can just skip it. One time, be done.
I still think it's content filler.
It really seems that way.
Like,
But-
people get mad if their games aren't 20,000 hours. So, fine. You want us to make it longer?
Yeah. But
I'm going to
am.
make you walk to the counter.
But despite that, I was wanting to try and get through both games, kind of get myself refreshed. Because 3's coming out this Friday. And like I said, I wanted it to be content for next week, but we'll talk about
Did you
that
take
later.
the day off work?
No.
Damn
no. There's a lot more. I'll talk to you about it later.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, yeah.
I hate to burst that bubble for anybody looking forward to that review. I was looking forward to it too until I realized what I'd done.
Oh, no.
Anyway,
Sounds like a story. Yeah.
do you have some news you'd like to share with us?
Do. We got our work cut out for us this week because there was actually, we've had several slow ones, and I didn't know where to focus my attention this time.
Okay.
We had a lot. But speaking of some games that released that I was excited about, you know, Boyfriend Dungeon, as we all know, was released a couple weeks back, and keeps making the news in its own little way that I didn't notice until it was already a problem, I guess. I don't run in the right circles, I guess. But the voice actor for the villain in the game has been receiving that ever-loving hate for his portrayal of Eric. And I don't know why this is still a thing, why we have people that can't separate fact from fiction or life from fiction. But soon after the game's launch, they already had one issue, right? There was a game content warning that was at the beginning of it, which I thought was fine. Personally, again, I'm not the audience that the content warning was directed towards, to be fair. But it drew some criticism for apparently not wording them well enough. So in the content warning, I remember it saying that, and I may not be word for word, but articulating that the story did deal with manipulation and stalker type behavior. Well, the problem, I guess, was that they didn't divulge that it was a necessary part of the story, so it wasn't avoidable. Like, the manipulation and stalking was kind of part of the main storyline with Eric. Sorry, spoilers. I guess I should have said that earlier. Spoilers. But because he portrayed it so garbagely and so well, he's been getting hate via Twitter for his portrayal of it. And it's gotten so bad that he finally took to Twitter and was like, hey, guys, I'm an actor. I think he's garbage, too. I really do. Can you stop? And the fact that this keeps going on is just mind-boggling to me. That I don't... Do people do the same thing to, like, Henry Cavill about Superman? Or, you know what I mean? Like, do they...
I don't know.
I have a question. Are they mad at him because they can't separate the difference of reality and fantasy fiction, or are they mad at him because he portrayed that? He was hired and he agreed to portray such an egregious act, and that, in their opinion, that has no place in these games or content. Because
that
you
could
can,
be a fair point.
because I know there are the people that can't differentiate this is not reality, this is an actor, or they really just like angry because he created that content.
One of the, which is a good point, because one of the messages that he put out publicly was talking about how this just reflects extremely poorly on him for even portraying such a character. So you might have hit the nail on the head for the one that he was specifically pointing out as an example, with other threats and calling him an F-boy and all these kind of things. So I don't know. Alexander Gross, I'm sorry, the voice actor here. I don't know why this keeps happening to them, but people just like leave these voice actors alone. Like, they portrayed a role, they took a part that doesn't speak on their character of who they are as a human.
I mean, it's no different than actors who portray racist, bigoted people in movies. They could be.
Do they get it too? And I just don't see their cries because I don't follow a lot of celebrities on social media. Like, maybe we have crossed into that age where they're accessible.
But see, I don't even think that actors who've done those kind of movies where they've said, foul, racist things, get that kind of hate, or at least they didn't used to. I'd say today, yeah, sure. If one white person's uttered an N-word in a movie because that was their character, people lose their minds. I mean, you go back just as far as Django, and people lost their minds.
Oh yeah, well
So. Yeah. But, yeah, with video games, it's ridiculous. I mean, you go right back to Laura Bailey and her hate-filled, tweets that she got. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. She's an actress playing a character. And if you cannot differentiate that, I mean, there's something wrong.
And again, they're actors, let them act.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. And like more to Zach's point there, where, where it was more of like, this is a reflection on you as a person for even wanting to portray a character like that. They're actors. That's the point. They're not going to play people like themselves. And I think the voice acting he did was, well, it made you feel gross and cringy. But that was the character, so I don't know. But again, I know that content warning, I wasn't the group that it was aimed at. So I'm not going to, speak to how people feel about those kinds of things. But just leave the actors alone. I don't know. Like, it just is so sad that they can't just do their thing and then move on with it. Hey, let's move on to a more fun topic. This is cool for me anyway. Intel wants in on the GPU game.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you saw this a little bit, but they've obviously given us some great CPUs over the years, but it announced it's entering the GPU market now with its first line of consumer graphics cards arriving in 2022. The ARC brand will be Intel's product offering both hardware and software-based graphics cards. Okay. So Intel says they will span multiple generations, of course. So they went in on this. It's codenamed Alchemist, which I guess it was formerly DG2. Shared a teaser video to go along with their announcement. It was mostly just a bunch of like people who work there talking about how excited they were against like a graphical fun backdrop, dressed up very nice and proper. So there wasn't anything to show off. So there wasn't really any specifics revealed, but Alchemist line is on the block up first. Intel says it will offer mesh shading, variable rate shading, video upscaling, real-time ray tracing. So look out, AMD, NVIDIA. Maybe you got a competitor. I'm all good with competitors. I just don't know if they're going to get a hold of chips any faster than anyone else.
That was going to be my question, is how is the GPU world right now? I was lucky, and I went through Newegg, and I got selected for their raffle that they were doing, the shuffle. So I picked up a 3070, and I was just pure luck. I'd been on a waiting list forever. I think I still am through like Asus or something for an official product. But how is the GPU world? Have they actually started to catch up? Because chips are still missing in everything.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't even bothered in a while because it seemed like every piece of electronics I wanted this year. But I know it might be getting better just because, when was it? A couple weeks back?
Yeah.
I think I told you about it, where Seats actually signed like a some odd $1 billion bill to help go towards the global chip shortage, to actually help with the materials and getting people back in the warehouses, making them, all this kind of stuff. So we might see it ease up a little bit more here soon, maybe for us. I don't know about globally. So I haven't checked. It's been a nightmare because you also got like, you know, the Bitcoin farmers that are buying them and all this kind of stuff.
Scalpers
too,
are
scalpers.
They're the bane of anyone's existence anywhere.
God, yes. Like, I never knew I would hate a group of people so much now. Like, it's just gotten so out of control. And I know it's not a necessity item or whatever. It's a luxury item. But still, man, you're putting it behind a wall for only rich people. Like, let me have my damn card. I'm just scared mine's going to poop before it starts to, and then I'm going to be like, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my mind. Because I couldn't even find a garbage card for the longest time. Like, even just something big enough to put in just to get the PC to run. Done. But yeah, so I'm going to keep my eye on that because, you know, competition in that space, assuming they all have the materials to make it. I don't know. That was what I thought we were fighting against.
You'll hear about a shortage as soon as they come out.
Sure. Their aim was, I think, Q1 even of 2022. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. This one, resellers, man. These reseller websites, you have to beware. I was following them. 11-Bit Studios put out their own statement about Frostpunk 2. Apparently has already been up for pre-order.
Okay.
On Kinguin. So, like, 11-Bit Studios came out and was like, hey, guys, we, like, just started. We don't even know how much our game's going to be. We don't even know when it's going to release. So we're just going to say don't buy from the shitty scammer you see on Kinguin who's selling the Frostpunk 2 for pre-order for like $39 or whatever. Like, and that might be the right price. I think the first Frostpunk was sat around $40, but why you got to pre-order like 2 years out? I don't even understand why you'd put it up yet.
I don't pre-order anything anymore. I've been burned a couple times, and so I let games come out, I let people play them, and then I'll pick them up later if I have time.
In this day and age of digital, they're not going to run out.
No.
That's true.
No, I know some people like their pre-order bonuses that come with it, and that's fine. You do you. But, like, I don't know. I've gotten to the point where I'm past the time of rewarding them for not finishing a game. So it's like, once it's finished and released, then fine. Like, I've been burned enough times that way myself. But yeah, so I mean, I'll take the devs' advice over this BS key reseller anyway. But if you see it on Kinguin, they're saying don't. It's not a sanctioned. Like, 11-Bit Studios even said they don't have keys. How does Kinguin have keys? So don't buy from these second resellers. We've talked lots ad nauseum about G2A and all of that nonsense that goes on, which is still up. Which, by the way, when I checked this morning, it's still up there to buy on Kinguin. It's just now it specifically points out that it's more of a pre-order, whereas before it was like, get your key here. I don't know. Stop it. Don't buy it. The studio itself is saying, nope, that's not us. We don't have keys. We don't know when it's out. You could be overpaying for our game because we don't even know. So don't.
Garbage
Resellers. I don't understand. I can't understand how they still work. Like, it's so bad that even developers have asked you just to straight up pirate their game. They would rather you pirate their game than buy from these key resellers.
So I'm gonna use this as a moment for story time, okay? Because these type of people are exactly why I have trust issues. Okay, so 2 people I reached out to just to kind of, without going into great specifics, talking about how to do something better with the podcast, how to expand on it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just maybe things that I'm missing out on. You know, maybe anything that could help it grow.
Educate me, man.
One person, you know, kind of went through this step and that step. Was like, hey, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And I'm like, okay, and I'm writing down notes. Didn't ask me for anything. It's just like, hey, this is for me to you. You know, whatever I can do to help. And it's like, you know, you're a friend of mine. I appreciate it. You know, just take that advice. Hopefully it works out for you. Great. At the exact same time, there's another person. And they're super hype. And she's like, oh, yeah, what, you could do this, you could do that. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be creative. I want to try to put my creative juices to the test. And she's like, all right, well, what about this? What about that? And just laying out all these awesome things. And he's like, hey, I got this seminar I'm doing. Check out this video and help you out. And I was like, great. And then there's a link. And you watch the video, and then you sign up for their program. $3,000.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, nope. And
For what, though?
to get your creative juices flowing.
To get your creative juices flowing.
Because you're going to be creative.
For the nice, affordable price of $3,000,
Yeah.
we can help get your creative juices flowing.
And it
All right.
it felt...
You better get something flowing.
Because...
Well, okay.
Anyway, continue.
But there never seemed to be a through line through what they were pitching. It was just like, you're creative. You've got the creative, power to do anything and put your artistic vision to the test. I'm like, every picture I'm seeing, it's like a mural painting or something like that. It's like, am I in the right place? It's like, this is not the kind of creator
That's your
I
inner
am.
beauty.
I can draw with a pencil, but this isn't what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. So I even clarified.
Did you have to trace the mouse and mail it in?
No, I asked point blank. I was like, so what? I said, so define artist for me. Is like anybody, and it was still kind of a vague. It was just someone who wants to be creative. I was like, okay, so if I'm just creating YouTube videos, I'm exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. All right. But when that $3,000 prize tag came around, I was like, I'm going to pass. And they're like, well, what would have made it, what would have made you say, hell yeah? And I was like, if I'd have had $3,000, maybe. But
I would
even
have been
then,
like $50.
I just don't have $3,000 to be like, here, take my money
Yeah,
for something
no.
that may or may not work for me. This isn't guaranteed.
I found artist careers has got to be one of the most expensive ones to break into for people who are insanely poor to start out in.
I mean, if I was paying,
even headshots are like $600. It's like I haven't even booked a gig yet.
I mean, if I was paying them to be my agent, sure. But
Well, no. If any agent asks you for $3,000 to represent them, you send them to me, BB. You do not sign that deal. You do not sign that deal.
The thing I would say, at least about an agent, still not paying $3,000, but at least they are out working on your behalf to get you gigs and get you something. Because ideally, if they're an agent that's working, they are going to get money as you get money. And if you're not getting money, then they can't get money from you, or they're going to get money and then you're going to drop off and they got to go find a new client. It's it's a give some, take some kind of setup.
Sounds like some weird squill.
yeah, the moment I saw the price tag, it was just like, now you can have it back. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I was
why they revealed it at the end.
I was waiting for that to drop too. I was like, how much is this going to cost? Because I feel like I'm getting sold, but I'm gonna continue to play around with this because she was Facebook Messenger, Instagram, just being personal, and she's local
it's like
too.
an MLM.
Yeah.
Back out. Did she tell you if you got like 10 more people to sign up, it would only be $1,000 for you?
No. Luckily she didn't. But she was local, and that was another reason I was like, okay, so at least I know where she's located. I've seen pictures where she's in Nashville, and I'm like, all right, okay.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, it was one of those Facebook groups, and then you just kind of get, that's where it started. Don't get weird. Continue with your news.
Don't worry,
Moving on with the news.
we're not judging. Whatever you want to do, Stephen, it's good.
I just wouldn't run around saying the pictures. I know where she's at. I can see she's in Nashville.
Well, I wasn't saying it like that. I wasn't being the creep. I saw
just giving you a
pictures
hard
in
time.
Nashville. I know
good.
exactly where that's
It was
at.
the way it lined up. I know where you are. I've seen the pictures.
I've seen where you
I
sleep.
see it. No.
That's not me outside in the bush. Don't worry, it's fine. I'm just walking my dog.
Get on with the news.
I know. I need to get on with it because I'll just keep ripping off of that. All right, so more news. So this week, the developers behind the indie game Among Us finally spoke out about Fortnite's imposter mode, which they put in their game here. Fortnite imposter mode might sound a little familiar. It has 10 players, 8 agents, and 2 imposters who play out their roles on a submarine. The agents carry out assignments while the imposters sabotage the facility and eliminate players. And then the agents can, of course, call for a discussion at any time by finding and reporting an eliminated agent of the by interacting with the discussion panel. And then you have discussions with the agents, and the imposters can share info with each other via emotes and quick chat, asking questions about who was doing what and accusing people. And then you even vote at the end to eject someone. Sounds exactly like Among Us to the T. So... Victoria Chan, who's Among Us's community director, spoke out this week saying, it would have been really, really cool to collab. Their whole thing was we didn't gatekeep the mechanics. They didn't try to patent them or anything like that. They just didn't feel like that would be good for the gaming industry as a whole. But just the fact that it doesn't appear that they put even 10% effort into making a little bit of a more unique hook on it, which was what kind of got them a little bit more pissy about it. Like, they're not mad, but they're just like, did it have to be like exactly our game, like basically down to the T? So Innersloth's co-founder Marcus Bromander also pointed out on Twitter that they themselves did not patent the mechanics, like I just said, to lead for a more healthy game industry, and even asked, the worst part was we've been actively trying to collab with them. So instead of doing any kind of collaboration, they're just going to put in imposter mode. So, which is weird because they've done so many collabing with like other third-party IPs for like skins or character skins and things like that. As of the time of this recording, I couldn't find anything from Epic saying anything about it. But just remember, kids, they sued Apple for the little guy, for you. Remember, they're helping you out. Remember, Epic helping all of us out. Anyway, so yeah, it is what it is. It sounds like Innersloth is just upset that apparently no creativity could have been put forth whatsoever on their side to just try to put their own unique hook on it for Fortnite's sake. And coupled with the fact that they've actually been trying to get with them to do something, just kind of pours a little bit more salt into the wound that you're stealing this idea from an indie dev who's been trying to work with you, and then you're like, but nah, we'll just do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's garbage. Do you have, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes with news, but do you have the, wasn't there an update to that case this week or something came out about it with the Epic Apple? I did,
but it was a couple weeks ago, but it was like something to do with their app store, which is why I didn't really add it because it didn't seem like gaming centric. But yeah, it was something along the lines of like they have to pay a certain amount to the developers on the app store.
I feel like it had something to do with Sony. Like they had pitched, tossed them
that.
What was it? Why didn't I jot it down? It had something to do like they had offered them a lot of money to get some of their games onto the Epic Store. Like $500 million or something like that, just to get exclusive rights to their games on the Epic Store. And that just came out through all of that.
No, I missed that. I didn't know. So it's like you're saying you think it's something along the lines of like Sony trying to get Epic games?
No. Epic was trying to lock down their PC releases to bring it to them and then be like, look, you can only play Horizon Zero Dawn on PlayStation 5 or Epic Store.
Okay, so what that means is hurry up and buy it on Steam right now because they're still there?
Yeah. So there you go.
Hurry up. No, I didn't put that in. I thought you were actually talking about the other thing about their app store where like there was a ruling that they had to pay so much regardless of who it was. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, I know I read it,
When I saw it
had
had nothing to do with games, I moved on with my life. I was like, well, rich people fighting other rich people. Not interesting to me. Let's just do a little bit of quick hits.
Okay.
I'll go through just a couple, try to be respectful of his time here because I know we could just go on forever and just keep bullshitting until...
Good.
Well, speaking of Epic, their game launcher finally had an update. So they added a new mini preview carousel, which allows gamers to view the thumbnails of media on a game's page. It's really fancy. Clickable genre tags that gives users a way to search the store, and a redirect notice which informs users when they click on a link that will lead them away from the store. All of the standard stuff most places had. And also features rounded corners. I know. It shows what gamers use in their friend list. But guess what?
What?
There's still no cart.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I just needed to know, was there a shopping cart?
That was the first thing I went to check. I was like, oh, a launcher update? Opened up Epic, and I'm like, seriously, man?
No.
Seriously? Add your freaking cart. Stop anything else you plan on doing with the Epic launcher. Listen to me now. I'm sure Sweeney's listening. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Stop whatever the hell you are doing and add a freaking cart to the GD store. I cannot believe that we're still... Anyway. Cyberpunk is also back in the news. They dropped an update, patch 1.3, which finally brings in a few more fixes. I mean, the page is really long if you want to go look through all of the patch notes. But some DLC content, albeit very, very small, with some cosmetic additions, including an alternate outfit for Johnny Silverhand, which I did go check it out. It's kind of cool looking. I think I might dig his first look better, but, you do you in your role play of Cyberpunk. So I downloaded it. Just be prepared if you already have the game in. It was a 61 gig download. Now, I know it was probably rewriting the entire game again like it did the last time, but just buckle in. It's going to be a minute if you've got slower internet. It might be quicker just to uninstall and start over.
Probably.
How is the game running now? Is it actually good?
It was smoother for me. Now,
Ish.
I had a much different experience. I was always on PC, so I didn't nearly have as bad a time as a lot of people did. But it definitely was running smoother. I did just a little bit of running around. I didn't get into too much detail. Tried to piss off a couple of cops because they said that it wouldn't necessarily rain hell like if you accidentally run into someone, because that was an issue where it's just like the cops just out of nowhere, and then they were just like, what the hell, man? I knocked over a trash can. I'm sorry. But but it does run smoother. I did notice that it was running a little bit smoother. I still had a couple of frame rate drops when if I'm moving it too fast from side to side to look around, but it's definitely a considerable improvement that I can tell now. For those of you on console, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Now that it finally came back to the PlayStation Store, I'm really kind of curious about y'all. And I was like, only $10 too in some places now that you can buy it.
Weren't they working on, or supposed to be working on, like next-gen versions of the game that could possibly work better than the last gen?
I honestly thought that was all they were going to be focusing on at this point. Like, once it got yanked from the PlayStation Store, I just felt it was in their best interest just to say, sorry, last gen, we're just going to keep moving forward, because that's where all the problems were.
I mean, if the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X can't handle the game, then there's something seriously wrong with it.
I feel like the next gen people said it was running fine.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought an actual version for that console. For all the special upgrades, whatever the PC people get.
All our fancy
all your fancy bells and whistles and gadgets and gizmos and ray tracing.
We have settings and yeah. You should get on our level too. But
wow.
PC Master Race, baby. But no. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with their time anymore. But as far as like the additional content that you could, it was like a rare iconic items. So if you just go straight to V's closet in your house, you'll just see that there's some new clothes sitting there that has the rare iconic item by it.
Okay.
I don't know why the word is floating away from my head, but there you go. Oh, this was interesting. Game Informer reported that there could be a new Fallout TV show in the works.
Ooh.
It's currently in production over at Amazon. Lucy Joy, who is co-creator of Westworld, is in on it, so could be a little interesting. There doesn't seem to be a clear direction yet as to what they're talking about. Her quote was, it is just a gonzo, crazy, funny adventure and a mind F like you've never seen before. So we don't know. I mean, speculation, though. Do you think 4? Do you think New Vegas? Do you think 3? Do you think a side quest? Do you think just the world?
I mean, the fact that they said there's no direction, that's Bethesda all over. So
All right.
they've already got it. But whichever one's the most popular one.
Whichever one's the most popular. See, I feel like it's been a very big torn between 3 and New Vegas when you listen to like the camps of people who are in love with Fallout. 3 and New Vegas, they fall into those two camps.
I played both. I started with Fallout 3. I went through every expansion except I think it was Mothership Zeta or whatever it was, the final expansion. I was told by a few people, you can play it, but it's very... It's not like open world. You're on a mothership, so you're like very corridor based. But I played through all the other expansions, and then I get into New Vegas, and I really like New Vegas as well. But I didn't put as much time into it because it was virtually the same engine and game and everything, just new items, different area, which was great. But it felt like I was doing the same thing, which I just spent, I don't know how many years doing of Fallout 3 and 4 expansions. I think I personally go for Fallout 3, but New Vegas was a great game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't know that I beat New Vegas. Maybe it was because it was 2 on top of each other. Maybe I felt the same way, but I know I played the crap out of 3.
Yeah.
Probably even more than once. Mm-hmm. And then 4 a couple times. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, I mean, I did play OG Fallout text-based.
Oh, wow.
You know, so before this company took it over or whatever, but never played the second one.
Yeah, I jumped on at 3, so I never went back and played the originals.
Yeah, just for funsies on some of them, just to see like where its roots came from and what Bethesda bought and turned it into what it is now.
It is neat.
Yeah. But speaking of what you could do again, because we know, so just so you know, Skyrim 10th Anniversary Edition, baby. For next gen. Oh, did you think you were done paying $65 for Skyrim? Oh, you were done paying $65 for Skyrim. They're going to give you some improved graphics, better game frame rates, a fishing mechanic. You know how I was excited. They are adding a fishing mechanic.
Fishing games.
Just drew me right in, baby. So now you can have your nice, well-rounded 3 generations of Skyrim, all for what, $2,000? How much we pay now? I don't know. PlayStation 3 and then 4. Okay, I shouldn't say. Okay, so generation 3rd, 4th, because I know it wasn't just on PlayStation and PC and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So slap a new dress on that baby and put that fresh price tag on it and shove it back at you. Oh God.
I mean,
10
look.
years of buying Skyrim.
I never played it, so maybe this is my opportunity to jump in. This is for me, maybe.
This is for you.
But I'm not paying $60 for it. No.
Why? It's a brand new thing, though.
No. I'm going to wait until it's
Fishing,
on
Steven.
sale. I don't care.
Improved graphics.
I don't care.
And you also get some of their Creation Club stuff. So, you know, the stuff the modders did for free, they'll throw
yeah.
that in there, too, for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Wasn't it nice of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. Let's see here. What's the last thing that would be interesting? I'm kind of editing on the fly because I know we're going super long. Oh, Saints Row official website's been updated. I'm sure you saw that with a large image of a brick wall reading, rebooting. And that could only mean one thing. And apparently we'll hear about it at Gamescom, which is coming up over the weekend. So yeah, the Saints Row Twitter account confirmed that the reboot will be a whole new game, it says, and not a remaster or a remake. So that's about all I could find out. Looks like August 25th, 11 a.m. Pacific. we can find out more. Or at least that's when Gamescom kicks off and all that kind of stuff. So we'll find out. I liked those games. I never played all of them, but the few that I've played, the humor was great. I'd be interested to see what they're rebooting here.
I'm hoping it's a return to form because Agents of Mayhem just felt off. Like, I was excited for the...
And it did not run well.
Yeah.
It ran horribly.
I tried playing it for a little while, and I couldn't get into it. So, I really hope that it... I don't know what I'm expecting. I guess I just want a good game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like we all do.
I forget if it was 2 or 3 that I was playing, and I enjoyed it, but again, I wish there was more co-op options because it limited to, I think, 2 of us could play co-op, and it was great, but sometimes I have more than just 2 people that I can play with. If I can get up to like a 4-person group, that'd be fun. I know there's GTA Online and stuff like that, but you know, I'm too old to deal with griefers. I don't need to deal with that crap.
I totally get that feeling, man, which is, I think, why I avoid a lot of multiplayer games like that anymore unless it's cooperative, you know, because...
And I think that's the biggest problem we seem to have is that we would play games, we're just on 2 separate platforms half the time. You know, your PC, I'm on PlayStation.
Is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
PlayStation is a little bit more about it, but like they're a little better. Yeah, crossplay.
Crossplay, yeah. It depending on the game, it works. We've been able to get Sea of Thieves to play, and that's one where it's open world PvP, but it was big enough that we never really ran into a lot of people, so we enjoyed that one. But we couldn't get Arc to work cross-platform. That one, or not even platform, like Epic Steam, we couldn't even get that to work, and that was supposed to be fine.
That could be.
We could never get that working.
Didn't we?
I never tried a cross-play, I don't think.
Didn't we try that with the Star Trek VR?
Oh, yeah, we did. That seemed to work well.
Yeah. I think the only thing we had issues with was communicating through headsets and all that.
Yeah.
But the gameplay was fine.
Use Discord or something, but yeah. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about it. So I have tried it. That seemed to work well. Star Trek, it was a VR game.
I have that. I've never played it. I got it for like free or something.
We should play it.
Yeah, I am a big Trek nerd. I would love to do that.
Well, we were playing along with it. Like, he was totally our captain, giving directions like, yes, sir. And, you know, I'd go to my little station, and it was fun, like, for an hour or so. I can't imagine getting sucked into it for too long because you're literally just always in the ship.
Yeah, it's the virtual version of Bridge Commander. Way back in the day, and I loved Bridge Commander because then you could either take control and do everything yourself, or if you were stupid impatient like I was, you're telling everybody and hoping that your con will actually do what you say, and they would 70% of the time.
Until you got with people you need, That's when it goes awry.
So since you said you're a Trek nerd, I have to ask: Lower Decks, yay or nay?
Yay. I have not started a second season yet, and I need to. I just haven't sat down. The first couple episodes were all right, they're finding their way, and I liked their approach to it. Certain people within Star Trek, I know, look at that as they do with Discovery and Picard, and they hate it because it is such a different avenue of what Roddenberry originally created, but I can respect it for what it is, and it speaks to me in my stupid humor. I never got into Rick and Morty, but this I can because it is Star Trek. It's kind of like Orville. I like Orville as well. I really am looking forward to that coming back because it is the silly Seth MacFarlane humor approach on a Star Trek spinoff, just like Galaxy Quest was back in the day, or Red Dwarf. You know, any of that back in the day was a fun little spinoff. And Lower Decks it's canon, I think, at this point, which is awesome.
That's what they said.
Yep.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people who dismiss it because it doesn't seem to fit within the narrative, they'd really give it a shot. They could see it's a love letter because there's so many deep cuts in there that you really have to know your Trek
Easter eggs.
Get.
And there's stuff that goes above my head, and then I'll go back and look, and I'll go, oh, they did that? That was cool. And I like all Star Trek, but I can also tear things apart. Picard, I loved while tearing it apart at the same time because I was thinking too much about it. but I'll
Yeah.
still watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked it
Part of enjoying it.
for sure.
It's a valid way to enjoy your entertainment.
All right. Sorry, I had to
Let's
get off
see.
on a tangent.
No,
there.
no.
Right.
I've only got one more, and,
All right, what
then,
you
and
got?
then we got to pry into the brain that is Zack.
Won't be too hard.
But there's just one last little cricket that I wanted to mention because it is a feel-good story, and we need more of those, I think. But I don't know if you know who Steven Spohn is. He's COO of Able Gamers. He describes himself as a twice-over terminally disabled individual. He has spinal atrophy, and apparently, according to the doctors, it's been so rough he shouldn't even be around today. But he is. He's alive and kicking, and he also does live streams and everything. If you're not familiar with Able Gamers, they're a really great charity who does a lot of research into creating ways for people with disabilities to play the game. So different kinds of controllers or what have you. So that everyone can enjoy video games. So decided that the last year, for his 40th birthday, he decided, I'm going to raise $1 million for Able Gamers. This is what I'm going to do with my 40th birthday through, the BS that is this last year, since we're not doing anything anyway. And you know what? He did just that and more. The official charity drive kicked off on September 15th, 2020. And he also gathered efforts from content creators along with himself that did this. He did get some help from bigger names like Alana Pierce, Bloody Faster, who's a Twitch streamer, Felicia Day. So we had, I think, over the total of the entire time, 250 streamers and 50 different teams that joined up fundraising through Tiltify. If you want to read the full story, I recommend it, but over $1 million raised. I went straight to Able Gamers to help research different peripherals that can help everyone play video games. And it just made me smile. So good work, man.
Yeah.
And get gaming into everybody's hands. Who wants it. So good job, man. I'd go read the story. It's a long one, but it'll make you smile. That's what it did for me. So I wanted to share that with you. But that's all of the news that I fit in this week. There's so much.
There was
quite a
bit.
there was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so off to our headline for the day. He's been chiming in with us a little bit.
Wouldn't call it a headline. That's it's a letdown.
Headliner.
Yeah, we want to talk to you, Zach. We want to get to know the inner workings of you and how you even got into what you're doing right now. Your radio, your podcasting. You seem to be big into the podcasting, but I guess what I want to start with is what started your path to broadcast radio?
Poor decisions. I grew up in New Hampshire, small town called Bethlehem. Not a whole lot to do up there. When I graduated, high school was comprised of 4 towns, and my graduating class was 47 kids. So we were tiny. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had done a little bit of drama in high school, and then I went to Plymouth State here in New Hampshire and went to a drama class and went, wow, these people are far more talented than me. I'm not going to continue doing this. And I had done a little bit of radio at the end of high school, just being a board op, and that's the person who sits in the studio and presses buttons and puts like the Red Sox on or a local basketball game. And then when I was at college, they had a music station there, WPCR, and it's small, and you could hear it like on campus, like all college. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I went, oh, they play music. Okay, I guess I'll get into this here. And that was where my love for radio really came from and fostered, was I can talk and play music and just have a lot of fun doing it. And then I got out of college and got picked up, probably, I was lucky, a couple months later to be a board op for a company here in New Hampshire, and have been in radio full time since about 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So, you kind of what we mentioned up top, you've had kind of an assortment of jobs in the broadcast radio business. Is there one particular that you find yourself leaning toward more? Like, this is what you would prefer to do?
Calls out to you,
Yeah, for radio, the programming side of it, I've done promotions, I've done the board hopping, and that falls to programming. The other side of it is the marketing sales side, and you know, here in New England and in New Hampshire, it's a small market radio. You can be big, you can go to satellite, you can make a fair amount of money, but with high risk or high risk comes high reward. But a lot of that is based off your ratings. You know, TV has ratings, radio has ratings as well. And the bigger market, the better you have to be in the ratings, or you can lose your job if you're not pulling in decent numbers. Here, there are ratings. We do not subscribe to them because we are a small company of 2 stations. And we just go with more local marketing and local clientele to hopefully advertise. So that is the sales side. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at programming either, but that's just where I'm comfortable, is being on air and talking and playing music.
Well, I mean, since you've mentioned it, and I know this might go off script just a little bit, but I was curious now that you mentioned it. How do you get ratings in radio? I've never understood how that worked.
So the way that it works is with Nielsen. They send out what is referred to as a diary. First, they contact you at random, and they will send you a letter in the mail and say you have been randomly selected to receive a Nielsen radio ratings diary. And we would like you to keep track and fill out this rating book accurately. We will pay you, maybe it's up to $5. It used to be $2. But now they'll pay you $5 to fill out a diary for, I think, a week. And you would keep track of what radio you listen to, where you are, when you listen, how long you listen for, and then you mail that back. And then they take that and go, all right, this person listened to this station for this long, so clearly this station is popular. And they look at everybody who fills that out. Yeah, it depends on, how many of these diaries or books are sent out for your market in your area. Also, where they fall in your market or area, because up here there's mountains, and where my station is supposed to be heard may not be because there's a big mountain in the way.
Sure.
But it's technically our market. And if it falls to a country listener, my stations aren't country, so therefore country would get the boost. And they would look like the dominant or higher ranking radio station in the area. When you get to bigger metropolises, bigger cities or markets or whatever, they do have, I forget what they're called because we don't use them up here, but I think it might be PPM, and it just monitors what you actually listen to.
Boxes used to get sent.
Exactly, for your TV.
For TV, yeah.
It will actually pick everything up, and every radio station is embedded with a subaudible tone that you and I cannot hear, but these boxes will pick up, and then it'll detect, all right, well, hey, you listened to this for this long, and then you switch to this station for this long. So different markets and different areas will do it slightly differently.
Interesting.
But
I feel like that last one would be a little bit more correct
Yes.
than the honor system, but
But
like,
yeah,
I
but
guess
yeah.
what do they gain from lying about it?
Well, yeah, I don't know. You're getting paid $5. I mean, who knows? But
Right.
you hope that people are honest and they fill them out. I've actually been contacted twice randomly, and each time I have to say, hey, I work in radio. I can't do this. And they go, oh, well, thank you for being honest. Bye-bye.
Aw.
Well,
Yeah.
I would have never guessed they did it through the Nielsen, because I've had that happen once before for television, and I guess it wasn't. I mean, it's an interesting thing to do, but I would have never guessed the same would have been
Yeah.
for radio. But I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, Nielsen has their own audio ratings and different markets. Like Boston is our biggest major market close to us, and we don't come up there. That's Massachusetts. Our stations don't get down to the border because they're just not that big.
So have you primarily stayed in New Hampshire as your radio station? Like, so you've never ventured out into ever gotten any job offers to go to another station, anything like that?
Job offers. Oh, you're so nice. No, I've never.
Wow.
Everyone I know, my wife also works in radio. She's gotten job offers. She was actually on, I guess, a decent-sized market station out in Albany, an alternative rock station, which she actually, spoilers alert, not all radio DJs are where they say they are.
What?
Yeah. She was here in New Hampshire, but she was tracking a station out in Albany. And that was going great until the pandemic. And then that's when a lot of companies, not just in radio, but everywhere, were letting people go. And she was let go, unfortunately, because that was decent income to be on a good sized station in a decent market out in New York. But I don't even remember what the question was. Whatever.
I want to hear her voice.
I'm just
though,
mumbling.
Because, like, you two must be the most lovely sounding to listen to a conversation.
My wife has the best voice, and she is so good at her job. She can do voiceover. She could do anything she wants. She is so much better than I am. If we have her on any podcast, I will be replaced instantly. Is how it works. We do have good camaraderie because we are married, and we do get requested when they need a wife and a husband or significant others. We play well together because she tolerates me in real life, so it translates onto radio.
It's like, why can't this move over into the job, right?
It could, yeah. Jobs and relationships, they never work, I was always told.
So we actually kind of first got acquainted through Podcasters Assemble. That's where I first heard your dulcet tones.
Me, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I liked Lacey, you gave me high compliments. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I still I've got listen, siblings. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're correct. Yeah, I found Podcasters Assemble through their network. I originally was listening to other podcasts that they had, The Coordinate, which was Attack on Titan, and then to Too Young for This track with Tyler, Eric, MC, and Troy, and they are all gems. They are all amazing. You've had both Troy and Eric on. Those guys are both awesome.
Lovely.
And I remember hearing a cross promo for the Kong Godzilla-thon that was going on with Podcasters Assemble. And I remember as a kid watching all the Godzilla films, and I went, all right, I'm going to go check this out. And to be honest, Stephen, you are a very intimidating person with your knowledge that you put into these. When I was listening to these, go on.
Go on.
When I was listening, I was going, holy shit, this guy is a wealth of knowledge. I love kaiju and Godzilla, and I don't know the shit he's talking about. What is going on? And finally, I kept hearing submissions are always open. Submissions are always open. Is this for me? Can I do this? Is it only for people in the network? I don't know. Screw it. I'm going to submit some audio and see what happens. And lo and behold, they used it. And now I'm consistently promoting Podcasters Assemble in submitting things.
It's a great idea, and it's turned out so lovely so far.
Oh, and you were an incredible addition to Mortal Kombat. My God, Lacey, having you on there, holy, that was great. You just brought in energy, and you're like the innocent little kid who's just there going, this is great. I kind of remember this. This is fun. Okay.
I felt like when you were just saying, like, the wealth of knowledge, like, after I had listened to it, the very first one that I went on, I'm like, Steven, I'm not smart enough for this. Everyone's laying down, like, who auditioned for it. And I'm just like, okay, but they walked down the hallway with the big spider webs. Yeah, right. They totally went that way,
But I told her she was a great contrast to everybody
It
else.
was.
That's what made it so much better, having her voice there.
Through my own lens of never having seen this in my eyeballs before.
Part of what I've gone back and listened to the entire series of Casters Assemble, and some of the best parts are when you have a hardcore fan like Steven, and then you have, someone who's witnessing it for the first time, and you get not opposite reactions, but opposite input, two sides of the spectrum. And that's what's great about that whole series. And it's open to any podcaster anywhere. The new season that is going to be coming up, it's open for submissions right now, is actually Ghostbusters. We're going to be going through the first two films, the game, which was based upon the
Yeah.
the third script. We will do the reboot, and I think we may do a bonus one on the animated series. So that is open right now for people that are doing it. And Steven, Eric and I have been working on a super secret project. It's a spin-off of Podcasters Assemble with a super creative name of Podcasters Disassembled.
I was actually just going to ask if that's what it was.
Eric, I swear Eric came up with the idea, but he's saying I did. And I know I came up with the name, but apparently I'm now in charge of this. So we've recorded
That's what you get for naming a thing.
I've been voluntold that it's my baby now. So what we do is there's going to be more like a straightforward podcast, unlike Casters Assemble. We'll do it with probably 4 of us, and we're going to focus on different movies that didn't make the cut or don't have a series of their own. For example, the first one we're going to watch and talk about is Rogue One. It didn't make its way into the Star Wars season because that was the Skywalker saga. But you've got Solo, you've got Rogue One, you have the Ewok movies, you have a few of these that we're going to work into it. And we have one in mind. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you are going to be perfect for it if you are ever willing to jump on with us.
Oh, yeah. I will be.
Okay. Perfect. It'll probably be a monthly or bi-monthly kind of podcast, and we'll change it up here and there. But the first one we're going to look at, we've recorded the pilot where it's just me and Eric talking. Rogue One will be the first movie we actually look at.
Okay.
And I think the pilot will drop, I would hope, this week. I just need Justin to create a logo, so that's all we need.
Dang it, Justin.
So you hear that,
No,
everybody?
it's
There was free promo. Keep your eyes open. Podcasters Disassembled could be dropping this week. And if not,
Creative stuff in that network.
hopefully.
yeah. And if not, then just keep your eyes open. Go follow all the podcasters Assembles on Twitter. All that stuff we've posted before. Damn it, y'all should know this by now.
We can make this work.
Probably.
Which I love. I love that too.
I do too. Yeah.
So, since we've kind of mentioned that you've gotten into podcasts, you've been guest spotting on a lot of podcasts. So, was that something that just kind of spun off from doing radio, and you were just like, well, here's another venue for me to kind of play around with? Or, like, what got you interested in doing podcasts to begin with?
So, what got me interested was my friends Jeremy, Mike, and Mark over at Neatcast. I have known Jeremy and Mike since around 2008. I met them originally online. I was a big player of World of Warcraft, and I played from Classic up to MOP, stopped at MOP, came back with Warlords after that, and then just life changes and you don't have time anymore. But I found them in Burning Crusade. I was literally sitting in chat going, I'm a shaman. I'm new to this server. I'm looking for a guild. And Jeremy messaged me going, can you heal? I'm enhancement, but yeah. And then they brought me into the guild. And from there, we were playing with a lot of people in New York and across the country. And I played with them for many, many years. And then finally, I don't know, a number of years later, I just happened to be in New York, not far from where a bunch of them lived, and I'm out here with a bunch of guys doing a motorcycle ride, and I said, hey, I could be there in like an hour if anybody wants to meet up for a beer, and one of them was available, and so I rode there, met up at a bar, we chit-chatted forever, and that's how I first met Justin, who's a good friend, and then he brought me back in October for a Halloween party where I was dressed up as a red shirt from Star Trek. And it said expendable, and it was great. And that's where I met everybody else, met Jeremy and Mike, and we've been long friends since then. And then when Jeremy, like a lot of podcasts, got started when the pandemic happened, he started inviting guests on, and I was one of the lucky people to get invited on.
It's like a real life The Guild.
Kind of, yes.
Aww.
Kind of. And so I've been on a number of times. That's where I guess the most. I'll be back again technically tomorrow, today when the episode drops, and then next week or tomorrow I'm recording with them. So they record a week ahead of time because Mike is a fantabulous editor, and he puts zippity wops and dingly doos and all sorts of sound effects in. He does a phenomenal job, and they're such good friends. And through them, I met Mark, who's our sports guy at Neatcast, and he's just an incredible person. I've only known him for 10 months, 11 months, but they're all great guys. I can't say enough nice things about them.
All right. That's great. So, since you've been on with that show, you've been Podcast Symbol and all these others that we've kind of gone through. Now, you kind of mentioned the Disassemble would kind of be something you're doing, but has there ever been a podcast that you wanted to do, like an idea you had that sounds like a great podcast idea, but maybe you've just not pulled the trigger on it, or maybe you just haven't quite figured it out?
Like, we're running out of ideas, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Free stuff for you? Oh, yeah, of course. Originally, back in the day when people used to record podcasts in person, I had chatted with a couple work friends about how it would be great to, if we just got together and we chatted and we're craft beer drinkers, and we would choose different craft beer, and we'd sit down and just talk about movies. And the big thing at the time was the MCU, and it still is, and plenty of movies still coming out. But it was, we could get together and just drink and talk about stuff. Granted, that's like almost every podcast now is people drinking and talking about things. So it's not original, but that was just an idea probably like 3 years ago. We kind of kidded around with, but it was, how do we get the equipment? When do we have time? How can we get together? Because we're not far apart from each other. We would work together, but, one's 20 minutes this direction, I'm a half hour that direction, and he's, another 20 minutes north. All right, well, where are we going to go?
Sounds like your house.
Pretty much. But, yeah, for a specific one, I'm always down for guesting, and I have so many podcasts I listen to on a weekly basis, and I also try to find new ones because there's so much great content out there for indie podcasts, and part of what I try to do is find other podcasts and just review and just share, because you never know, you may find your next favorite podcast and just be like, this is what I've been looking for, no matter how obscure or general pop culture it may be. So I don't really know if there's a specific podcast I would like to do, because I'm game for anything and talking about anything, really, for the most part. My wheelhouse is geeky stuff, gaming. That's where my, I guess, knowledge is, but I'm down for anything. I had posted something, and then Stephen, you had reached out about, I may have a job for you, and I was going, look, it's kind of like a job offer. Okay, yay, I did get a job offer. I finally made it, Mom. Took forever.
It's still out there. I know I've not pitched it to you yet. I could do it right here on the air.
Look at this, all the stuff you're learning about here today.
I'm learning so much.
Because, you've seen the animated show.
Yes.
That we posted the first episode of.
That, by the way, that was great. I love that. You put a lot of time in it. You are a very talented individual. I don't know if enough people tell you that, but that was, the animation was good.
He taught himself all of that, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus. Man,
I
mess around with Photoshop just because it's fun. I can't imagine actually doing animation. That's moving stuff. I'm just editing photos.
That right there. If I'll go off on a little tangent with that.
Sure.
I have been going back, and Lace can tell you point blank, episode 2 was fine. Okay, it was fine the way it was.
Nothing
now we've had to make an adjustment to the end of it, because we had a joke that just doesn't work, or the original joke just wasn't going to work.
The joke came true, so it was no longer funny.
Yeah. It was a joke.
If we would have done it then, it would have been brilliant and soothsaying and all sorts of stuff.
It was a joke about Anthem, which is a dead game, and that's essentially what we were gonna go off Anthem, and now Anthem just doesn't exist anymore. It's like, well, it's a little late now.
Right.
So
missed the boat.
we were trying to figure out a way to rework it. Well, we came up with something that we feel is pretty timely, and we re-recorded it.
You better hurry up.
So what happened? Yeah. So what happened is I get in there and I'm like, all right, so I've got to redo this and I got to put all this in now. And I'd already made adjustments once before, but they were quick adjustments. I was like, yeah, this will work. It's fine. I got obsessive and I started looking over every little frame of my character and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I've through the process of doing these episodes, I have worked on very specific mouth movements for my character. So every word he says, you can almost believe it. It's not just lip flapping, which in the first episode it's kind of that, but not too bad. But I've gotten it down to a science. And so I would sit there and watch him talk, and I was like, he's not saying everything right. It's not emoting it proper. So
he's zeroing in on these little details.
Yeah, so I have practically gone back ever since we recorded that audio and replaced every frame of my character. I have replaced some of the frames of your character with these new frames.
Wow.
To make sure the animation is fluid. I have even created new frames for certain jokes.
Of course you would.
Because it's so much better.
No, I get it, but he's that, yeah. If he finds one thing.
That's how obsessive I can get.
Anyway.
Well, we're all our own biggest critics, and we like I forget if we were recording yet, but I don't like listening to myself because I pick it apart because of my past and having a speech impediment. I'm also dyslexic, so I will mispronounce, missay things, misread things a lot, which is a huge pain if you're recording anything for someone specifically. I have to like triple check everything because my mind is going to screw with something. I know it. But there's plenty of times where I have produced a commercial or some imaging for the station, or even when I was going through our first episode with me and Eric for Podcasters Disassemble, I'm going through going, no, I could do this better. And why is it picking up my mini fridge? It never picks up my mini fridge. What the hell is going on? Such a pain. But at the same time, I have to get to a point and go, it's okay. I'm not working for Disney. I'm not working for anybody where this has to be top quality. It's a fucking podcast that we're doing for fun. But I totally understand where you're coming from. And adding video into it, man, that's a whole other realm. I've always been amazed by the work that what video editors do, because it's far beyond whatever I do with audio.
It can be. I know when I first got into it, it was like it felt natural, but I knew that I had some things to work out, some kinks to work out, because I've probably told this story on this podcast before, but the very first time I got an editing job for something that wasn't my own is I had a friend, he was trying to do a short film, and he planned on editing it, but he was struggling with it, and he was just like, I just can't figure this out. So I said, do you mind if I take a crack at it? And I just took one scene, and then within a short amount of time, I had pieced together the scene for him, and I said, here, what do you think? And after he watched it, he was like, take it.
It's yours.
He's like, edit this for me. And I was like, all right. So it's just something that I won't say it's a natural born gift or anything like that. I just feel like that there's the way my brain works.
You can figure out the pieces of the puzzle really well, like how it would be interesting to see visually.
I think it's just how my brain operates. I can look at it and be like, okay, I got it figured out, and then I'll work it out. Sometimes I won't say that it's always perfect, but 9 times out of 10, I can recognize it. Like the moment I see it, like if I've cut something too short, I'm like, no, I got to just, even if it's a couple of frames, it makes all the difference. So you can just, your head's going through the beats.
Same with audio. Sometimes when I'm editing, I get it down and I'll do a quick edit and I'll go, nope, that doesn't sound natural. That pause, way too quick. And just how your voice inflection changes. And then you extend it by just like that fraction of a second, and your brain goes, okay, there's enough time that the inflection can change from the end of that word to the new word. And it takes practice, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
The beauty of it is especially if you can trick the audience and they'd never be the wiser. I'll say this.
And then you don't go around pointing it out.
No. I'm not going to point it out. I'm just gonna lay this out there. There's at least one episode that I've done this year where there was a conversation we had and something wasn't flowing with the conversation, right? Something that you had said, and I was like, you know what? What she said right here would be perfect over here. And I'm going to put it right in here. And then I'll just shift everything around this one little piece, and you'd never notice. It sounds like it was a proper conversation. Like that's how it went. So,
Nice.
props to anybody who can figure out which episode it is. I'll just say
Keep them
that.
from divulging it later.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember which one it is, but I remember doing it. But
We'll see.
anyway, enough about me, Zach.
Oh, wait, I am here. I had fun talking about you, though. I'm learning a lot.
Well, we can guess. I'll guest spot on your podcast or whatever. It could just be one episode of, hey, let's talk to Steven for a minute. And then that could be the episode.
Sound good?
Just Steven picking up where he left off on a series of conversations, and that's it.
Yeah.
We'll actually merge it with this episode, so it just flows. We'll do some magic editing.
Mm-hmm.
Just slide it over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about all this radio stuff, this podcast and stuff, but you know what we've not asked? I mean, we're a gaming podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And you talked about, playing games. We've got to go back to your first console. What was your first console?
Oh, the NES.
And,
Of course
and
it
what
was.
what were your core games for the NES?
Well, it came, obviously, it came with the original Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, so you could do both of them. But from there, oh boy, what the hell did I play? Well, Ninja Turtles.
Of course.
Had all three of them, even the brutal first one, which I couldn't beat because I forget. I made it through the dam a couple times, but you always lost a couple turtles doing it, and then you had to rescue them later. But 2 and 3 were both games I played a lot. I mean, 2 obviously was in the arcade, and then when my parents saw the advantage of, you know what, it's cheaper if we buy him the NES than bringing him to the arcade. Let's just do that. So we played that, and Super Mario Brothers 3 were some of the classic ones that I played. And we actually had a rental store in my town, so I was able to go up and grab different rentals here or there. But those were the main ones I remember playing. There were some other ones that I don't remember. My wife, because she's the best ever, got me the classic when it came out, which came preloaded with the 30 games.
Yeah.
It may have more than that by now. Because of reasons. So I may have access to every Nintendo game ever that was created, so I can go through and play all these great games that I never got to play. So it's a lot of fun to go back and relive the 8-bit or 16-bit, whatever it was, back in the day. And I did have a Game Boy for a while, and played that a fair amount. That's where I first played Mortal Kombat, was I think 2 came out on the Game Boy. So that was the first time I was really playing Mortal Kombat. And then it was in arcades too, and I played it there, but that was my first console. Now I do mostly PC gaming. I find it easier for just my setup. If you play PlayStation, you play Xbox. If that works for you, good. I'm happy for you.
Oh yeah, totally play on whatever you want.
But I remember whenever we would play any sort of first-person shooter games and we do LAN parties or anything like that, I would mop the floor with everybody because I had the keyboard and mouse, and that's how I played my first-person shooters. And everyone else that played it on, like Halo, when it came out for Xbox, I would just be destroying them because I was so much better because of the point and click of the mouse than scrolling with, getting used to doing it on your controller, and then all of a sudden you jump over to keyboard and mouse. You're like, I'm not used to this because I'm horrible with analog sticks because I never play a game.
A controller and
I
over.
No,
I don't know.
You're gonna beat the tar out of me without an issue.
So was there one console that you had before you went and jumped to PC that was the NES like your baby, or was there another one that was like the number one console for you?
No, NES was it. I had friends that had Super Nintendos. I had friends that had Segas and PlayStations when those came out. I remember watching my friend and playing, I guess, to a point, Final Fantasy VII when that was on PlayStation, and I remember playing Super Mario World on friends' consoles, Sonic on the Sega.
Yeah.
But we had the NES, so that was it. My parents, they provided. We weren't necessarily rolling in cash, so it was, here's your NES, and you know what? It still works. Blow in your damn cartridge, make it work.
Like the worst advice we ever gave that made it universal, which is weird to me.
It'd
Without
be-
the internet,
yeah,
we all knew to blow in that.
It'd be
thing.
great if the classic every once in a while would require me to go over and blow in it, just because it would bring me nostalgia feels. Ah, damn it,
I guess you could.
Turtles
right?
3 won't load. Crap, I got to go yell at my classic for a couple seconds. It'll be
See,
great.
I always had to like slide the game in, like thinking that would help too. Or
Just
you
kind
didn't
of
quite put it all the way
in
but
and
then slid
down.
it in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or did you ever
Probably broke
wiggle
the
it?
crap out of it. Yeah.
or the spring would break, and then on like my friends, and then they'd shove another cartridge in on top of it
So
to
you had
hold
to keep it
down.
down, yeah.
It wouldn't work. No, I
We had the cord taped to the side so it would stop, turn it off. Yeah.
PC gaming started around the time of Command and Conquer Red Alert. And that's when I first got into RTS, and I love RTSs. The Command and Conquer series, when they were with Westwood, man, they were the best. And I know they made some more in some of the past years, they were okay. But my wheelhouse was Red Alert, and the original Command and Conquer. I loved that. For first-person shooters, I think it was Tom Clancy's Rogue Squadron or Rainbow Six. I forget what it was. It was one of those, and that's what really got me into first-person shooters. And that was where PC gaming started for me.
Is there an NES game that you love that you feel that nobody else knows about? It seems like it's one of those hidden gems that you wish more people knew about.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know which one people wouldn't know about. I mean, I know there's a lot out there that I've seen people play, and there's some out there that I didn't even know that existed. Like, have you ever heard of Bubble Bath Babes?
I have not.
Apparently, that's an NES game that has nudity in it. And I remember
from
seeing
Japan.
somebody
Like back in the day.
well, at least I remember seeing. I don't know if it's on my classic, but I remember when ROMs were a thing, and you would download those for your PC or Mac, and you would play them. One kid I knew downloaded it, and he was playing it. I went, "What is this?" He's like, "It's Bubble Bath Babes for the ROM." This is a thing. Okay, and it's just reverse Tetris. It's girls.
Kind of like strip poker or whatever.
No,
you
it's
get into-
I think topless girls on a Nintendo in a bubble bath, and bubbles are floating upwards like Tetris, and you have to align them at the top. That was the game.
All right.
Okay.
Don't know if it's a real thing now or
Get
not.
a little boob.
I guess.
Boob for you.
Well, when you're dealing with a high school friend, they'll take anything they can at the time,
Sure.
especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
It wasn't as aplenty.
Yeah. This was like
Had
good
to get
internet.
an adult to buy the magazine for you, you know?
Yeah. Rent this movie for me. I know it's rated R. Trust me, it's fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's
What's
gay.
the worst that could happen? Gosh, I don't know. I loved all the Mega Mans. I loved Nintendo, the Turtles. The game I hated, which was infuriating, was Battletoads. Because
Yes.
you couldn't beat the goddamn racing thing.
That was always where you got stuck.
Yep. I had
Always.
the worst game. I would enjoy it up until that point. Mm-hmm. You could play with a friend and be like, all right, we're going to level 3, and that's it. Then we'll reset again.
We're done. Well, Lace, do you have any questions for this man? Because I think I'm all out.
I think I've just been enjoying how organically the conversation would go in it. So I'm just.
You know,
Yeah, man.
we did go off on a slight tangent when we were talking about the animated series, but he just did an audition. I heard that voice, and I like it. And I might steal it.
Oh,
Ooh.
Where he's doing the little
If
kid.
he lets you.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do voices occasionally.
Because there was a voice specifically that I had in mind, but we do have quite a few characters to cast. So we may just have to pitch a few and just see which one you might want
Look
to
at
do.
this, no pressure. Do it live.
Oh,
And like
great.
watch him squirm for the answer.
What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Okay.
it. We'll leave it there.
I am open to all sorts of collabs because you know what? I just have fun talking and meeting new people and networking with people. I've got a couple other collabs that are coming up. So I'm excited to join a bunch of different indie podcasters just for fun. It's all content creation and I enjoy it. And if there's any sort of cross promoting and networking, if it helps, your podcast, if it helps other podcasts that I'm involved with, it's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
We're all just having fun and creating content, and hopefully we get additional listeners. And if someone learns something along the way, that's their own damn fault.
Right?
Yeah.
That was not my intention.
No, you've been absolutely awesome promoting
you.
us and getting our name out there to people who may not even know who we are. And we've been trying our best.
Still don't. It's fine.
It's fine.
It is, you know what? I'll say it is tough to find the legit people that are actually looking. And at least on the Twitterverse, it is very difficult. One of the best things I know that they try to do over at Neatcast is incorporate different promos of different podcasts and different content creators that way. So they're able to put, I think, 3 in an episode. So they're always looking for new content and new promos. I know yours has been featured before, and quite a few. So that, and honestly, that's how I found a lot of these other podcasts, was through promos. So if you are a podcaster who listens to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo, one of the best gaming podcasts out there, try to put promos together and network, and you never know who you're going to find and where you're going to find it.
It's true.
Yeah, we had never had an ad before Podcasters Assemble, but then they started asking about, if you've got one, let's put this together. And I started really thinking on it, and I was like, you know what, we've never done this. We've always talked about it. Let's do it. So we jotted down, I jotted down a few little, hit back and forth, just to try and get it all. We spent hours trying to narrow this down to 30 seconds.
Whittle it.
Because we wanted it to be a legit ad, and we had it
Like, no longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I was not going to allow it. I was like, no.
and
You
I think
could, if the content is there, you can do a nice 60-second promo, but yeah, the 30s work very well. And what's great about your promo, it's very reminiscent of your actual episode, just how it's structured. It's like, that's an episode in 30 seconds right there. That's great.
See, you don't even need to listen now. You got the gist.
You
It's
got
all
it.
there. No.
Yep. Yeah, we did one for Neatcast as well. I cut one with the voiceover, and then my wife cut one with the voiceover. And of course, I went with my wife because she's so much better than I am. And then when I went also for Effin' Cultured, a quick shout out for Bobby and Rick and Griff over there, I kept harassing Bobby, going, Hey, Casters Assemble needs a promo. He's like, I don't know. I'm just going to choose some best of bits. And he just went through and he found them and he shoved them in there, and you go, yeah, that's your show. Yeah, you're right there at that line. You're dancing with it. Okay, good job. And that's another great podcast. I love chatting with them. So quick shout out to them. I didn't ask permission. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Shout out whoever you want. Give them all the love.
They're great guys at Effin' Culture. They're pop culture, kind of like Neatcast is, and they skirt the line. So you want to hear some stuff, look up Effin' Culture. They're all great guys. And Rick I met through my wife. They went to college together, and he's such a great individual. They're all awesome people. Indie podcasters in general, just freaking great people.
We're just a lot of fun.
For the most part.
Just like to have fun. Right.
I will say I did see a post yesterday about somebody having beef with somebody, and I actually had to search for it and went, okay, that I don't get that at all. Over at Neatcast, we have a fake beef with the lovely boys over at Chat Smash in the UK, which is, they're fun, they're hilarious, they have dry humor, and those British accents make me bite my knuckle because, oh God, it's great. Those guys are a lot of fun. So we have a fake beef with them. I mean, it's a real beef, but it's a fake beef, I guess. I don't know. We'll make it up as we go along.
It's a beyond beef.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at that.
You should get royalties for that.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll probably have to pay for it.
Pay for the royalties that I'm getting by promoting a product.
That we weren't tasked with promoting. But anywho.
Lace, if you've got nothing else, I'm going to let this man go.
I know. I was going to say we've had him for so long. He's probably got some other things to do. So I thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely having you on.
Thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this for since June. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, right before our break, right? Well, just to make sure, where do we find you, Zach? Where do you want all of us stalking you?
Oh, gosh. I think the easiest place is just you can look me up on Twitter at Zack Deuce, because I wasn't the first Zach on the Neatcast, so they just started calling me Zack Deuce, which is...
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
That's yeah.
I
It's
just
not
called
actually
you Zach as well.
Yeah, but that's where you can find me, and that's where I share everything about the podcast that I guest with, and once this drops, we'll certainly share and promote it, and I'll be on Neatcast tomorrow, so we'll be chatting about that as well.
Nice, excellent. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's our show.
Yeah,
I think
links
that's our show.
in the doobly-doo. Don't forget.
In the doobly-doo. Links, of course, yes, in the description. Yes. He does all that hard work, so I'm just blissfully unaware. But no, thank you so much for listening. You can hit us up on Twitter sometime at Super Mega Crash. You can also send us an email at supermegacrash@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram to view the weekly icon art Stephen puts his time and love into. You can support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred platform, and even going over to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. You can tell your friends to find the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network, or just search Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music. I don't know, everywhere. Everywhere. So thank you so much for listening. I am Lacey Finley.
And I'm Stephen White.
And you can join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then,
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.